Miss Bay? Miss Bailey? Miss Bailey? Sweet girl. Okay, everybody. I wanted to give you a kind of an update on the front yard. I planted a rhododendron right there. If you don't know what a rhododendron is, it looks a lot like a crepe myrtle. Only it's a little probably shorter. I left these daylilies here and these daylilies here to try and keep somebody from driving up in the yard. As you can see, our mail lady doesn't really care. At least she's not rolling over this, but I really wish she wouldn't do that. And that can be avoided. She just doesn't care. I haven't had the chance to pull up those yet. And I may do them this season or may wait till next season. I'm not sure. And there's more in the backyard, as you can see back there. I left the daylilies here because Bill and I are going to put probably a post there and then a corner post here, so that people don't, when they drive up here, they drive right up into the yard. Like, they try to get as close to the door. I think out in the country it just doesn't matter. I don't know, but we're trying to build some barriers so people understand that we really don't want their cars driving up in our yard, without being quite so blunt. Because we don't know people around here and we don't want to be rude. If they're family, we'll just tell them, but if it was y'all, I guess I'd be careful about how I said it. So, you can see that we have some blooming over here. Those are the same flowers that are blooming, that will bloom right here, and the ones that'll bloom in the backyard. They have blooms on them over there. But I was able to get all the daylilies transplanted. I have, let me show you. So, I planted daylilies there, and in the corner back over there and along the back, around the cords really, I have cannas, C-A-N-N-A-S, cannas, and they're the ruby and orange, which are the burgundy, and they have orange flowers. So I have those going to come up over there, all along till you get to this corner, which will be the little yellow flowers. I'm going to leave those there. And I've got daylilies planted on kind of each symmetry. So on the corners, I've got them planted here. And I've got them planted where all the lights are. And then in between these, I have cattlilies, the multicolored cattlilies planted in between. Bailey, get out of my flower bed. Bailey. All she sees is straw, right? She doesn't understand. Bailey. No, get out of my flower bed. So, and I'm trying to plan around our satellite dish, so. Anyway, I did the two biggest ones here at the door. And these leaves, no, babe. These will be long enough and they'll drape over. They'll start to bend over that way. Same here. And then I used a flat rock here. My husband gave me that little garden thing probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I wanted to have a light on it, so I planted a patch of daylilies there. And I think what I'm going to do to fill in this is butterfly bushes. Roses attract aphids, and I'm really not trying to attract those. And I'd like to put lemongrass where you see the hanging baskets. I'm going to fill those probably full of ferns, and I may have some ferns sporadically in here. And I have a daylily here, so I was able to pull those out. And then I have one on this corner, and I put one of my bird baths over here. So I may do a fern in this area. I'm gonna leave the daylilies here, and then over here, and this gets a lot of shade in the afternoon. I may do a fern over here on this side. These ferns like sun and shade, the morning sun and the afternoon shade. That's purple, the purple long grass that you see at the nurseries. That's what's growing back there. I trimmed it back so it'll come back this year. And I don't think my fountain pump is the right size because it's barely a trickle. So I do have it running, it's just not ready yet. And then underneath this ground there's lots of bulbs that haven't come up yet from last year. And then I'm going to fill this up where, once they come up, I'm going to fill this, go to the nursery and fill these up with probably just regular, a couple of those crates full of, I'll probably do dandelions or something like that. Not dandelions, but chrysanthemums and begonias and things like that that can take sun and shade. Over here are more of the little yellow flowers. I need to pull those up too. And then Bill got one of the projects I wanted done, and that is I wanted to take this big stump, since he didn't really want to chop it up, and I've asked him to gut it. And I'm going to have one of our neighbors and his tractor move this stump over on the side yard, and I'm going to plant succulents in it, more than likely. Probably hens and chicks, so if you know what that is, and probably draping moss. And I'm going to move this, and we're going to move the big stones. I think that stone and that stone is going to move to the side yard so that we can do a drive, kind of a partition it off, so again people don't drive up in our yard. So I may ask him to do the same with this one. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that. It's really not a log, it's a post. Well, it's a log. It's a log, but it's probably not going to be super easy to dig into like this one. So we've got to get all this mess cleaned up, but he was able to do that. And then this weekend I told y'all, well, maybe I did or maybe I didn't, I can't remember. But the barn is pretty much taken all the wood down that we want. It's stacked up in there. We got to get it moved out. And the neighbor that has the property behind us over here is bringing up his Kubota. And then we have another neighbor with a tractor. We're going to ask them to help us pull this down. We're going to salvage all the metal. And, you know, right here is going to be my greenhouse and raised beds. And then over in this area is going to be our chicken house. I don't really want to call it a chicken coop because I'm probably going to do a chickshaw. I'm probably going to do a chicken tractor that I can move around wherever I need them to, you know, get grass down. They won't be in the chicken house only at night, and I'm probably going to move them around during the day. And I went out here on Monday. I hurt my arm real bad. I've been resting for a couple of days from work and from doing anything at all that would require weight because I've messed up my elbow. I've pulled a muscle somehow. It feels like tennis elbow, really. But I've cleaned up, there's a pile of trash over there. I've cleaned up all of this tree around it except for the rocks. And I've pulled away a few rocks I want in the landscaping. And Bill's gonna have to help me get the rest of these. But we've had so much rain here, y'all. I know that anybody along the East Coast and around here, y'all all know we've gotten so much rain. And the spring rains have not even hit the, come on Bailey. The spring rains have not even hit Arkansas yet. Last year, before we moved here, I moved here Mother's Day last year, which is coming up a year for me. And a month before we got here, come on Bailey, a month before we got here, this whole area down, not us up here on the hill, but down in the town area was all flooded. Houses were flooded and everything because of spring rain. It's really bad. We won't ever flood like that because we're so far up off of the area, you know. But I wanted to show you how full the pond is. It's really super full. It's going to be really great and ready for my little ducks coming. And they'll be here the first week in April. I'll get them. And I may do a live stream when I get the little baby ducks, and then 2 weeks after they're here, my chickens come. So I've ordered 4 ducks and a goose, I believe. That's what I ordered. And I'll be getting them the first week of April. And 2 weeks after that, our chickens arrive. And then we have asked the local feed store to bring us or have them include in somebody else's order 2 guineas, because no one seems to want to sell us 2 guineas. You can't order 2 guineas online or anything like that, to my knowledge. I've tried a couple of sites and they require a minimum of 20. We don't want 20 guineas. We're going to try with 2 because the noise is, they're so noisy. So I've agreed to do 2. And that's coming all in the month of April. So we've got a lot of building projects to do. We've got a lot of setup to do. Oh, and I reached out to JNL Zero because I manage his website and his small business. And I've asked him to point me to his video for trapping turtles. We don't eat them like he does. I would never eat a turtle, I don't think, unless I was starving. But we need to get the pond cleaned out best that we can of turtles. I've seen 2, and they're snapping turtles because according to everybody I've talked to, if you don't get the turtles out of your pond, they will actually bite off the feet of your ducks. And I can't have that going on. So we're going to have to be constantly patrolling this pond and get them out as quickly as they're either born, hatched, or crawl in. We're going to have to be mindful of the turtles. So it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the sun is already moving over to the other side of the house, but I thought before I showed you all my seed update, I would show you the pond, how full it is. It's just, we had rain last night. I know Little Rock got 5 inches and it's pretty soggy. So we have a lot of stuff going on this weekend. I'm going to do my best to video everything. My arm is hurting pretty bad and I'm mainly taking a leave and Advil. I'm alternating. I've had this situation happen before and I think I just overdid it. And then the day after I did landscaping for 2 days, I went grocery shopping and Bill hates to go to town, so I went by myself and I lifted waters and grocery bags and yeah, probably did more damage to my arm. So I'm paying for it and it hurts pretty bad, but I'm a pretty tough old bird and so I'm trying to tough my way through it. So, oh, and the other night I was washing dishes and I looked out the window and I had this gigantic, it was huge. It must have been a 35-pound possum walking towards our kitchen window. And I ran to tell Bill that there was a possum outside and he grabbed his gun, and by the time he got out here, it had moved along. It ran back this way, came back around the barn over there and ran off. He couldn't catch it. But it was gigantic. I couldn't believe how big it was. And honestly couldn't believe, because it was so big, that he couldn't get out here quick enough. It must have really taken off hearing him. So, yeah, anyway, so let me get to the seeds and give you guys an update on that, and then hopefully on the weekend I'll do some videos, and next week you'll see some progress from us setting up for our animals. So, all right, here we go. So more flowers over here, more daylilies, and these other ones too, where this tree is. I don't know what that is. I also planted a rhododendron there. These are orangey peach colored rhododendrons, which is, you know, like the crepe myrtle. And I planted one down there. I'll walk down there in a second and show you that one. There's a big patch of daylilies right there. And come on, Bailey. No. Let me show you all this. We are dying to know what these berries are. We've asked a few other YouTubers. There's some more over there. Before we chop all these down, we kind of want to know if these are poisonous or not, and I don't really know what kind of berry that is. So they're real prevalent here in Arkansas. We've heard a lot of people have them in their yards, but no one has told us the correct name for them, because I've Googled some of the names they've said and they don't look anything like these. So anyway, they're a darkish burgundy red color, and I want to push all this down or tear it all down because I'd like to put in some fruit trees over here. And so come on, Bailey, come on, let me show you all this other one. Come on. I'm gonna order probably a few more rhododendrons because I'd like to line this fencing with beautiful flowering trees. Here's the other one that I planted. It's doing really well. And these won't bloom until second year, but they do most of their growing in the first year, and they'll withstand 10 below, so that's pretty good. And I don't want to get her cord caught in them. All right, okay, I came out here to check on all the seedlings, and I've got a little bit of tomato there, not much else activity. This is pretty moist. Peas are coming up. This is all kale. This one didn't come up after I transplanted them out. This is cabbage, and it's come up a little bit. Cabbages. This is kale. Most of all this is all kale. And I've got one here and one here. One here didn't come back up. Let's check on the other ones. And most of all this is kale. I've got a tomato that didn't come up, and I've got a spinach and a kale that is over here on the very edge. This is squash. It's doing the best. These are pretty big, and the watermelon is doing really well. And this is more squash. The leaves are getting pretty big on those too. Okay, so I'm gonna be transplanting these into just a little bigger cup, as well as I've got my Ziploc bags in here, and there's sprouts in those, and my bell peppers have sprouted. The carrots didn't sprout at all, so I bought another package of organic carrots. I'm going to plant these today, and I think this is carrots too over here, and they didn't come up. And then I'm going to do some, this is organic cantaloupe, and then I'm going to plant some organic, get this in a light better, some organic pumpkin, and these Honey Rock organic cantaloupes. And I'll do the carrots one more time. The light's better over here. These are scarlet mantis, and I'm going to plant those today while I'm in here. I went and got some bags of dirt, and I'm using the Just Nature Premium Organic, and it has worm castings in it. So I'm going to be using this to plant the new ones today. And we'll get the old ones put in bigger cups so that they can become a little bit more sustainable. I've got sun beating in this room, and then tonight we're supposed to get freeze. So I have this heater over here, a new heater we put in, and I'm going to keep it on a decent temperature so that the seeds will do okay. Anyway, I'm going to lay the camera down. I'm going to get these stuff planted, and I'll kick it back on once I'm finished. All right, all I need to do now is mark everything. I know what I've got, and I've sectioned them off so I understand what they are. This is cantaloupe. That's carrot. All up there in the window is carrot, and some of my bell peppers over there on the end. I do have those marked. These are here, but they have not sprouted. So I may reuse these, or I'll have to dig the seeds out that aren't coming up out of them. But I've got everything kind of done, and we're going to let these sit in here probably another 2 weeks. And it doesn't look very successful, but I've had a really good garden 1 year, and I remember everything looking kind of bleh. But I think it's just the weather. But certainly the squash is really looking good, and the spinach and kale are coming along really good, and I'm hoping that all the cantaloupes, pumpkins, and all those come up. And this weekend we're going to start building the raised beds, I think, and I'll take y'all along for that. As long as we have everything that we are going to use to build them. We're going to use some of the barn wood. They're going to be taking the barn down this weekend. So once they knock that down, I'm hoping I can distract my husband into doing the beds instead of working on disassembling the barn, but we'll see how successful I am at that. So in here I've got some onions. I don't have a place to put onions right now, so I just put probably 2 inches of soil. They don't need a lot of soil, and I have the soil real moist, and I've got them stuck in there pretty well. And these are red sweet onion, and hopefully I don't lose those. I'm gonna do my best not to lose them, but I'll come out here tomorrow and double check them. Anyway, that's the update. I've got some sprouts going, and I'm going to be adding to this as it goes. I have extra seeds, so if I lose, I just start over again. And hopefully by the time my beds are up, I'll be able to get everything in actually substantiated soil with the correct amount of lighting, and everything should take off. So anyway, I'll keep you guys posted. Everybody have a blessed week, and find somebody to bless. See you on the next video.